Hello, everyone. This is Misha Houston, and I'm here to do my review of If Loving You Is Wrong. Tonight's episode is entitled A Difficult Path. And I have to say that there were some things that I did not like about this episode, such as it didn't quite jive with last season. And there was also parts where they were trying to rewrite history as well. But I do appreciate that they are moving the characters in different directions. I really appreciate that. So, all in all, I did enjoy the episode, but there were a few things that, didn't quite jive with me and didn't quite please me as much as I would like, to have been pleased. But all in all, I thought it was a decent episode, and I'm happy that the show is back. So, thank you, Tyler Perry, and I hope things will get better, next week. The first group of people we go to is Kelly, Natalie, Esperanza, Rick, and the kids. Outside of Kelly's house, a gunshot goes off. The kids are in the house and they are screaming. Kelly, has been arrested and cuffed for Ramsey's murder. Dion goes running into the house first, and everyone comes in soon after. Frankie says that Justice had a gun. Justice says that he didn't know that the gun was in the house. Dion asks Kelly if it was her gun, and she says yes, she did buy a gun. Esperanza immediately starts to berate Kelly for having the gun. She says that she could have killed the kids. She even goes so far as to question her sanity, and Natalie tries to defend Kelly. And Kelly apologizes multiple times for her carelessness. Kelly, tells Justice that she shouldn't have touched the gun at all, that he could have gotten someone killed. And he says that he didn't know that the gun was there and that he's sorry. Esperanza is still griping at Kelly, and Natalie says that's enough. Then Justice notices that Kelly, his mother, is in handcuffs, and he asks her why that is. Kelly explains that there's been nothing but a misunderstanding here, and that she needs to go to the police station to talk to the police. Kelly assures him that she will be back soon. Kelly tells him that she will explain everything when she comes back, and he is to go to Natalie's house. Natalie asks that she really needs to be cuffed in front of her son, and Dion says that it is policy. Justice is afraid, and he has tears in his eyes, and Kelly, as Kelly is being taken away. They put her in the back of the squad car, and Kelly tells, Natalie to call Lucien, which she does. Now, before I go on to the next section, I want to talk about the gun and about Esperanza. Now, last season, Kelly's bank accounts were drained, but yet she had the money to buy the gun. And I also thought that it was strange that if she could buy the gun, why wouldn't she buy a gun safe? Because last season, she expressly, told Michelle that she wanted a gun, but she also wanted a gun safe. Because she had a son that's living, her son is living in the house as well. So she asked specifically for that gun safe. So I thought it was very, peculiar that she had a gun and it was just laying out for Justice to find. Kelly would never do that. She expressly asked for a safe so that the gun can be protected from her, from her son. But I just thought that was very peculiar. And I also thought it was one of the points that I brought up, that it didn't quite jive with the last season. Also, I want to talk about Esperanza. Now, I know that Esperanza is afraid and it scared her, and I don't hold that against her. But I don't understand why she's griping at Kelly because she knows what Kelly is going through. Kelly is in handcuffs, and she is viciously berating Kelly because of the gun. I mean, the reason that she bought the gun was for protection. And she knows that Travis, is after her. She heard all of the dirty messages that he left on her phone. She's heard, that Travis, took her son away from her without her knowledge. And she also knows about the attack, the late night attack, at Kelly's house by Travis. She knows all of this. She was witness to all of it. She saw the bruises when she came back to her house after he choked her. She knows all of this. And yet she's berating Kelly, and she doesn't know why she has the gun. She knows why she's got that gun. So why are you berating her, especially when she's in handcuffs? Esperanza has been nothing but an annoyance to me on that show, and I really don't see the point of her even being on the show. But, that's just my opinion. On to the next. The next few people we go to is Brad, Alex, Esperanza, Peter, Paisley, and Mika. Brad and Alex are making out. Yuck. And the kids come running into the house with Esperanza. They are afraid because a gun went off at Kelly's house. Peter says Justice was showing off, his mother's gun, and it went off by accident. Alex asks if anyone got hurt, and Esperanza says that everyone is fine. Alex says, you know better than to play with guns, and Brad is concerned that a gun is in Kelly's house to begin with. Brad tells Peter and Paisley never to go back to Kelly's house, and the kids agree. They say that the police took her away. Then they all go upstairs with, Esperanza's daughter Mika, and Esperanza and Alex and Brad stay downstairs to talk. They are all upset that Kelly has a gun in the house, and Brad asks why. Alex asks that the reason they was that the reason that they arrested her, and Esperanza tells them that she was arrested for Ramsey's murder. Esperanza says that this is just a misunderstanding. Brad asks outright, did she kill him? Esperanza says no. She thinks that Kelly wouldn't do anything like that. Then Brad asks, did you know that she had a loaded gun in the house? And Esperanza says no. Brad says that you think that you know a person, but then you don't. Alex can't believe that Ramsey was murdered. Brad asks about the details of the arrest, and Esperanza says that they don't, that they did not specify, which was a lie, because they said that they were arresting her for murder. Brad says that she shouldn't say a word because they will try to railroad her. Esperanza is assured of her innocence, but Brad says she better get a good attorney because when he was down there and arrested, they kept him down there for hours, trying to insinuate that he did something, which is true. The next three people we go to is Marcy, Larry Connolly, an attorney, and Ian, another attorney. Marcy is at Larry's office, an attorney and family friend. He says that she is glowing and that she looks great, and she thanks him for that. She tells him that she and Randall are getting a divorce. Larry asks, is it really so bad? Marcy says, yes, it is. And then he says that when they talked on the phone, he thought that this was just about therapy. And Marcy says that they are so beyond that. She wants him as her attorney. He and Cherry, I'm assuming his wife, thought that they would have been together forever. And Marcy says that you both were wrong. He says that he's sorry to hear that, and Marcy says thank you. Marcy asks about Cherry and the kids, and he says that they are fine. She wants him, as I said before, as his attorney. She says that the last lawyer, couldn't make him sign the divorce papers. And she thinks that a friend could, persuade him, to sign. He says that they were friends and roommates in college and can't represent her. He offers to give him a call, he offers to give him a call to see where his head is at and to invite him for drinks. Marcy thinks that that is a good idea. He is not saying that he is going to represent her, but he is going to try to talk to Randall. Marcy says that he cheated on her with a neighbor and a friend, got her pregnant, and she's had the baby. He is shocked by what he's hearing, and Marcy says that he just wants, she just wants him to sign for, the divorce. Larry says that he will try to get him to sign. Just then, Ian, another attorney, walks in and notices Marcy. He is obviously interested in her. She says that she has to leave, and Larry says that he will talk to her soon. And she says goodbye to Larry and Ian as he looks on. After she leaves, they go back to work. Now, I want to talk about Marcy, and I also want to talk about Ian. I'm glad that Marcy is actively pursuing the divorce, and I'm also glad that she's getting help, and I'm glad that she's also, taking notice of other men, taking notice of her. I'm glad that she's not, worried or, whining about Brad. I wish that her and Brad could have been together, but I am glad that, she's looking at other men. I'm glad, I want for her to move on from all of this. And, it's a good sign that, he, she is actually looking, in other directions. And I'm very happy for that. As for Ian, apparently he's going to be in the next episode. And I'm hoping that he, can make a difference here. I'm hoping that Larry and Ian can make a difference and get Randall to sign the papers, because I'm just getting so tired of this storyline altogether. I'm just ready for this to be moved on as quickly as possible. Now, the next group of people we go to is Eddie, Lucien, Steve, and 2 other FBI agents. Eddie is in the interrogation room with 2 other FBI agents. He screams at them that he ain't saying shit, that don't you know who I am, and that what do you think you got on me? The 2 FBI agents leave, and Eddie shouts for someone to bring him some water because he is thirsty as hell. Then Steve and Lucien come in and say that we are the only help that you have. Eddie asked them, how did 2 Maxine police officers get in by, get in and get let in by the FBI? Steven says that they know you've been working with the captain. Eddie says they don't know anything, that they don't know shit. And what I have, and he also says that I know that you 2 are FBI agents. Eddie says Stephen and Lucien and Claudia ran this operation together. And now they think, he thinks that they think that they have him now. Lucien says, we do have you now. Eddie wants him to admit that he is FBI. Lucien says that he is just a Maxine police officer. Eddie asks, how do you get the FBI down to my Uncle Rusty's house? And Lucien says that they asked us to be there. Eddie says that I can't stand how you talk to me with this air of arrogance, like you're something above me. Eddie lets him know that he is and never will be above me. Lucien says that I am walking out of here a free man, so he is above him. Eddie says that he will walk out a free man as well. And he also says if he thinks he won't, then you don't know Eddie at all. Lucien says you don't know what we have on you. Eddie says that he will play along. What do you have? Lucien says that they have him on drug possession, murder, attempted murder, what he did to Ben and those dead rookies on the wall. Eddie says that all he hears is that you two are FBI agents, and that he doesn't have, they don't have the balls, to admit it. Lucien asks where Andrew is. Andrew feigns ignorance and says that I don't know who you're talking about. Eddie and Lucien aren't playing with Eddie. And Eddie says, if I knew, I'd tell you. Eddie wonders how they are treating them at the FBI, lying ass up and face down like Steven likes it. Steven wants to know where Andrew is, and Eddie says that, why don't you go ask my Uncle Rusty? Eddie then says, get your West Coast ass out of my face. Steven says, do you think that this is some kind of a game? And Eddie answers him saying that sending you two clowns in here to run a federal investigation on me, yes, it is a game. Then Lucien grabs Eddie and they get into a scuffle. Lucien says that you are going to do time, and Eddie says, I'm not doing anything. Eddie don't do time, and you better walk your boy back over there. Eddie screams, you are the FBI, so tell me what you got. Lucien says that we've got you on a silver platter. He also says that your name is Sally, inmate number 5877686. Eddie shouts back, you don't know Eddie at all. Eddie says that he'll be out soon and laid up with some hot piece of ass before you can say that white boy gone. Eddie, screams and blusters, and they both leave the room. Outside, Lucien is angry and upset, and Steven says we have to keep this clean. Lucien wants to know if they've covered all of their bases, and he wants assurances. He hates Eddie's arrogance and is afraid that he may get off. Lucien thinks him too calm in there and that he's up to something. Steven runs down the laundry list of things that he's done, and he says, we've got him. Lucien is fretting, thinking that he has something up his sleeve, but Steven says he is done. Lucien says to call Lamont and tell him that we have him and we're going to book him. Eddie is peeking through the blinds, and Lucien says, oh yes, you're up to something. Now, before I move on, I want to talk about Eddie in this scene. I have to say that I really enjoy Eddie's writing. Whoever is writing for Eddie, Tyler Perry or whoever else, I really enjoy, his dialogue. They write beautifully for Eddie, even though he's an unsavory character. So I have to give a compliment when it's due. I really love Eddie's dialogue. I really love how they've written for him so far. They've written him beautifully, but, he's just a villain and an unsavory character. The next two people we go to is Lucien and Natalie. Natalie calls Lucien, saying that Kelly was arrested for Ramsey's murder by Dion. Lucien says that man is nothing but a clown, and Lucien says that he will look into it. Then Natalie says that she might be in trouble as well. Natalie says Kelly bought a gun and the kids were in the house when it went off. Natalie says everyone is okay, and Lucien asks, what was she doing with a gun anyway? Natalie says that it was to protect her from Travis. Lucien asks, doesn't she know how to use a gun? Or did she take some gun safety courses? Or, does she have a proper safe to put the gun in? And Natalie confesses that she didn't go to a gun shop, but her friend Michelle, hooked her up with a gun. Natalie thought Michelle and her guns were legal, and Lucien says there is nothing legal about that woman. Natalie asks, can she get in trouble for this? And Lucien says, yes, she can. He warns her not to tell any of her friends to buy any guns from that crazy woman. Natalie thought that she was helping, and Lucien says, yeah, right. Lucien asks where the gun is now, and Natalie replies that Dion took it with him to the station. Natalie asks, what should she do? And Lucien says He will handle it. He'll handle it. That's what he always says. But apparently he isn't handling much of nothing in this episode. She says that she loves him, but he doesn't say it immediately back. But then he, breaks down and says that he loves her too and that he will call her later. After they hang up, he says that this is unbelievable. The next three people we go to is Randall, Larry Conley, the lawyer, and the mailman. Outside on Randall's porch, Randall is adjusting a camera that he has pointed at Alice's house. Just then, he gets a call from Larry. Randall doesn't recognize him right away, but he eventually does and says that he hadn't heard from him in a long time and thinks that he was avoiding him. Larry says no, he's not avoiding him. That's not true. Randall asks, "How is your wife doing?" And Larry says good. And then Larry asks about Marcy, and Randall says that he doesn't want to talk about it. Larry invites him, out for drinks, and Randall agrees to go, saying that he is buying since he's making all the money. Larry says it would be good to see him again and calls him old friend. Then Randall teases him about, being 2 months older than him, and Larry laughs, saying that you remembered. Randall says that how could I forget? Larry says that we can't forget, can we, Randall? And Randall agrees. Then Larry says that he will see him at 7 o'clock at Sam's, and Randall agrees. Larry says to get a driver is going to be one of those nights, and Randall is down for it. They hang up the phone, and then Randall sees the mailman and calls him over. Randall, is back from being nice and decent, and back into crazy mode. And he interrogates the mailman. He says that I haven't seen you around here a lot, and the mailman says that he's been working this route for 3 years. Randall says that he even put mail right in his hands. Then Randall asks, "Do you have any mail for me?" And the mailman gives him his mail. Then Randall asks, "Do you know the woman next door?" And the mailman says, "Yes, Mrs. Montgomery." He says that she is a very nice lady and that she gives him cookies on the holidays. Randall is then turning it into something sexual, saying that she has been giving those cookies out to too many black men, And then Randall says that, then he asks Randall, "Are we still talking about pastries?" And then Randall says yes. The mailman assures him that he is just delivering the mail and there's nothing untoward going on. Randall then asks how old is he, and the mailman says 53. Then Randall says that don't you think she's hot? And then the mailman, at that moment just wants to get out of there, and I, can't blame him for that. He says he doesn't know her any more than he knows Randall. Randall asks him outright, has she ever invited you into the house for sex? And the mailman says, "No, I am a happily married man." The mailman says that he needs to go, and Randall lets him go, and he goes back to his house. But before he leaves, he goes and watches the mailman leave. Typical crazy, outlandish Randall. It's just, whatever. Now, the next three people we go to is the unholy trinity: Brad, Alex, and Randall. Brad comes down the stairs and he's sitting next to Alex on the couch. He notices that the kids have grown up a lot since he's been away, and so has the baby. Alex says that they change a little every day. He asks if the baby is asleep, and Alex says yes, he is, and that he's home for good. She says that the judge was going to only grant her supervised visits. Then the social worker came, and gave the report, and because of the report, she received full custody. but you can tell that she's omitting the facts about the DNA test. The real reason that she got the baby is because the DNA test proved that the baby was not Randall's, and she completely omitted that. She's still lying to Brad. Then she says that you don't have to ask about the baby. I know that it's difficult for you. And then Brad says that he's just a helpless little baby. She thanks him for saving, him by the lake. And Brad said that he has no choice. Now, before I go on, this is another example of them rewriting history. The only reason that Brad was there is because Marcy forced him to go down there. He didn't really care about anything that was going on down by the lake. And just like I said before, they're rewriting history. Brad said that he had no choice in the matter. And Alex says that he is such a good man and she was a fool to turn away from him. Brad, he starts to make excuses for her and he forgives her and, that whole thing. She says that she misses him morning, noon, and night. And, that they want to work it out as best that they can. Alex, doesn't want to get her hopes up, but he says that it's okay because he's hopeful too. They kiss and he says that he loves her. And she says that the locks are still the same and that he can come back anytime. And then he leaves. At Randall's house, his phone beeps, and Randall runs outside to harass Brad. He says that, oh, you're moving in back with that whore, that slut? I thought you would be stronger than that after, I had been there and the devil knows who else. Randall tells Brad that is not his son. Randall says, oh, you don't want to talk? That's okay. And I'll be here making you and that bitch's life a living hell. Brad drives away as Randall laughs. Now, I want to talk about Randall for a minute. This is a moment where I kind of agree with Randall. I kind of agree with him right here in regards to Brad. Because Brad, I thought, was a fool to take Alex back. Now he knows exactly what he's going back to. He's going back to Alex, who cheated on him. He's going back to that baby that's not his. And he's going back to Randall, who will do nothing but harass him from now on. And I think that he kind of deserves that because I thought it was really, really foolish of him to take Alex back. He should have stayed with Marcy, in my opinion. He kept saying that he wanted some peace, but he's not going to find any peace living next to Randall. And he's not going to find peace with that baby, and he's not going to find peace with Alex, who started this whole mess. So, and I also can't really blame Randall, for what happened down by the lake because it was Alex who set that whole situation up. He has a right to be angry about what happened down by the lake. Now, we have a short scene with Kelly, Lucien, and Dion. Kelly is in the interrogation room wanting someone to tell her what's going on. Outside, Lucien then walks up to Dion and asks, if Kelly is in the interrogation room. Dion says yes. Lucien asks, what is going on? And Dion says, you just need to talk to the DA. After Dion leaves, Lucien calls him an asshole, which is true. There seems like there's such an imbalance between the officers, at the police station. Half of the cops are dirty and the other half are too hard and too rough and not understanding, and, trying to be good. It's just an unbalance at that police station. Now, the last scene of the night is for Kelly, Lucien, and the DA. Lucien walks into the interrogation room to see Kelly and they hug. She says she was arrested for Ramsey's murder. She says that she has no idea why they would arrest her and that she did not do this. Lucien asks her, do you have any idea why they would think that you killed him? And Kelly says no. Lucien says that they have to have proof to bring you in here like this. Kelly wishes that she would know what was going on and they would tell her what it is. She suspects Travis. She thinks that she is behind all of this. Lucien thinks Travis isn't so bright enough to pull all this off, but she thinks that it is him, that he is responsible, and that he has been stalking her, which they do have on record. Then the DA walks in. He wants to talk to the DA alone, but she says no. Lucien says, he asks what's going on here, and the DA says, soon enough, you'll know soon enough. He tries to get information, but she tells him to leave. Kelly doesn't want him to go, and she also wants to know what's going on. The DA says that you will know what's going on once Lucien leaves. Kelly asks Lucien to check on Justice, and he says that he will. The DA says that she is under arrest for murder, and that she says that Ramsey dialed 911 and that it was recorded. There is a recording of Ramsey saying that he was stabbed and that he names Kelly, as the person who did it. The DA says, do you need to hear any more? And that's where the episode ends. Now, before I end my video, I want to make another comment about this recording. Now, a couple of seasons ago, it was Kelly who called the police, not Ramsey. That was well known. She called the police, and Officer Rick came over to the house, and she told Rick about the situation with Ramsey, and Rick went over to the house. Now, if Ramsey called, then why was there no one at the house? The only person that I saw call the police was Kelly, not Ramsey. And this is just another example of them rewriting history. This is not what happened. I don't know where this recording came from, but it was Kelly who called the police, not Ramsey, because there was no one at Ramsey's house. It was Rick who went over to the house because Kelly called, not Ramsey. I don't know where this recording came from, as I said before, but you can really tell that it doesn't jive with what happened last season or in the seasons before it. But that's the writing, and that's what we got for our first episode. Thank you very much for watching my video. Come back next week for the next episode, and it will be entitled Justice. My MVP of the night is Marcy, because she's actively trying to get the divorce, she's trying to get help, and she's also checking out other men. So for those reasons, I have named Marcy my MVP. Thank you very much for watching my video, as I said before, and come back next week for the next episode of If Loving You Is Wrong. Enjoy your life as I do, and have a wonderful, wonderful day. Thank you so much.